Hey guys, Mario Peshev from Devrix here. The topic I'd like to discuss today is will there come a time when web designers or developers will not be needed anymore? The topic has been suggested by Quora, and they wrote a detailed answer there that I'm going to kind of decompose and destruct here the structure in a way that kind of makes sense for the audience. So essentially, there are a lot of web designers, web developers in different capacities working out there. According to the European Commission, there in 2020 there will be a shortage of about 900,000 skilled IT professionals in the industry. So that's specifically for the European Commission, kind of measuring only the European Union. Then we have the entire Asian market, which is extremely broad: Australia, North America, South America as well, Africa even, and basically all around the world. So that's kind of an interesting paradigm. We obviously have a shortage of people. There are tons of open jobs available, and not enough people basically able to supplement the business needs of that job. So that's why we have so many universities and kind of training academies and colleges and everyone else kind of trying to teach programming for a living. And a lot of people are going out of those academies or boot camps or so forth, but many of them are unable to find a job. So why is that? Well, obviously the qualifications are not enough. There are a lot of things that one should need to learn and study extensively and understand and kind of get into kind of a specific target niche, into a specific mindset, into a specific kind of industry and everything that it encompasses. Like, for example, for web development, you need to kind of understand operating systems, networks, kind of all that stuff that's included in computer science as a technical education, and basically become a developer, which may be a web developer in particular, but not just web developer. So either way, a lot of people can't find a job right now. Those who study a little bit harder and spend a little bit more time, they are able to find a job, which is fine. But many of those people and many of the people practicing in the web design slash web development industry may struggle in, say, 20, 30 years from now if web is not the right medium for them, right? Because currently we do depend on social media that's basically ran through web, and searching in Google or Bing or Yahoo or so forth, and kind of consuming information through web. But at the same time, we do have smart device. For example, my smartwatch runs a lot of stuff that's kind of voice controlled, which may not necessarily require you know any website whatsoever. I do have different devices at home that are kind of smart devices, again, not relying on that. We do have smart cars coming up, or self-driving cars, or whatever it is that either run through embedded development or through external services running APIs that control that without any sort of web interface. And that new interface may not necessarily require web in terms of web design and web development. At the same time, we do have different types of media. We do have videos like this one right now. We do have podcasts. We do have all sorts of information like voice controlled search out there, which also doesn't depend on web design. For a voice controlled search, you need basically one simple page that kind of lists videos, or at least you can host it on YouTube or Vimeo or anything else out there. And also with platforms such as WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, and so on, you can kind of solve most of your problems without hiring web developers, if we think of it in 2018. Of course, there's demand. Demand will be there for another 5, 10, 15 years maybe, but maybe not so much in the next 20 years. So what we're discussing is kind of how to become a proficient person who's kind of capable and skilled in different areas. In marketing, there is a specific kind of trend for looking for T-shaped marketers. If you look at the T letter reversed backside, like something like this, for example, and that's not a cross, that's a T letter reversed backwards. So that's something where that kind of helps you to excel in one particular niche, be proficient in one particular thing, but at the same time understand, grow horizontally, learn everything else there is to know about marketing in general. So that's kind of very valuable, very important, something that needs to be studied extensively. And same goes for web designers and developers. For example, designers may be, kind of looking for different opportunities to uh, apply their design in different forms of campaigns that are not necessarily related to web design, such as even printed ads for newsletters, even if they're outdated, that's still something that designers should learn to do. Or crafted campaigns, infographics, and branding materials, stuff like that. In order to become competitive, in order to understand what's the next thing coming in, could be design for appliances, could be interior design, could be something else that's still design oriented, or it may simply be a step to learning marketing, because a lot of the marketing nowadays is visual. We have, again, infographics, we have featured images, we have social media status images and stuff like that. That's still visual, and designers, this one step for them to kind of become competitive and transition to the next big thing that's going to be hot in another 10 or 15 years. For web developers, it's the same thing. Again, developers with traditional computer science degree, with a traditional engineering degree, can kind of benefit from that by applying their knowledge of, again, operating systems and servers and computer architectures into a different area. For example, in their math skills may help them with machine learning or any other sorts of artificial intelligence. Their computer science skills can help them with kind of building robots or even self-driving cars or other forms of engineering and so forth. So the most important thing web designers and developers should learn, especially if they're still starting or still studying that, is becoming kind of T-shaped experts, or people who are proficient in different areas. A business person is can adjust to different forms of businesses. So even if kind of IT dies in 50 years, a business person knows the basics of running a business, or maintaining a business, working in a business, whatever it is, because it's kind of a skill that's applied to a wide area of skills. And that's only valid for those people who want to study business as a thing and not just their particular niche without anything else out there. So being able to kind of expand on your own knowledge and study extensively, learn iteratively all the freaking time is really important. And those people who invest that time, those people who really spend their time, are not going to be threatened by another wave of something else, some sort of technology or something that kind of dramatically drops the kind of the number of people needed for something. And if we look at site building again, because we're talking about web designers and web developers, a lot of people joined the industry about a decade ago or even 5 years ago, when it was really easy to charge for setting up a WordPress website, installing a theme, installing a few plugins, whatever it is. But then what happened is, platforms like Wix and Squarespace and Weebly became popular, and business owners no longer need that specific basic skill. Of course, some pay for it, but a lot of those people who didn't have any technical know-how had to transition back to their old job because they couldn't adapt to that market. They were relying for something that's simple, with a very low and easy learning curve, something that everyone can kind of pick up in a few hours, or even in a few days, and relying on that thing doesn't really help them excel further. So those people who actually spend the time on learning, professional design or programming or marketing, even, they were able to adjust and kind of start selling different packages, upselling services, and so forth. But those who were simply selling, pre-installed websites had to get back to their previous jobs because there was no longer a demand for that, and that happened over just a few years. Again, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, all of them paying hundreds of millions in marketing in order to attract tens of millions of customers now using those websites. So again, web design and web development, they're still hot, they're still trendy, there's still demand for them. But in order to become competitive, in order to become a great fit, in order to become someone who's actually needed for a job, someone who's not going to be replaced by a robot, just become a more proficient expert in a wider area of skills. This would let you understand the foundation and understand different specific skills that would be transferable to a given thing if you decide to choose so, and if the industry kind of sets into a certain manner that really requires that.